Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for another Roscoe's recap, and this viewing party was for All Stars 11 episode 6, and the guests this week were April Carry-On and Salina S. Titties. So today we're going to be talking about Salina reveals what really happened after her fight with Aura Mayari in Untucked. April reveals the secret off-camera alliance that she had with Salina and why she betrayed it. And Salina spills some behind-the-scenes tea about her relationship with production. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Also, if you like these videos and want to see more of them, please make sure you hit subscribe because it does make a big difference. Thank you. Okay, so they started off by asking April whether she was buying Salina's tears during this week's episode when Salina pretended she was upset at her, but then she smiled at the camera. April said she genuinely didn't even know Salina was crying. She said she was in her own little cloud playing around and reading Silky, so none of it was affecting her at all. She also did not know that Salina had a peck alliance until she watched it on TV. Nasia then asked Salina whether she went into All Stars already planning to play a game from the start, or whether her strategy was to rely on her talent. Salina said her original plan was to showcase her talent, and she had actually spoken to another Drag Race queen before filming who told her that the bracket format was a good opportunity to do exactly that. She felt that the girl group challenge let her show off her singing, and the video challenge let her show off her scripting and directing skills. But Salina was clear that if she wasn't winning challenges, she was going to play the game because she's a big fan of Survivor and Big Brother, so alliances come naturally to her. And she made the point that if she hadn't done any of that, people would have just said that it was a quote boring bracket. Nasia said she'd been watching the show thinking that Salina was doing well enough that she didn't really even need to do the alliances. Salina agreed that in hindsight, she probably could have just sat back, but she didn't win the first two challenges, so she felt that she had to do something. They then talked about Salina's strategy in more detail, and Nasia said she thought there was only one hole in Salina's strategy. Salina should have gone to Aura Mayari and just lied to her and told her that she had other alliances, but that Aura was the real alliance. Salina admitted she never really proved her loyalty to Aura, which is why Aura kept hesitating. Salina then said, quote, "I never proved my loyalty to her, so I never really got to establish it." But Nasia then jokingly said that Salina was not loyal to her anyway, and that was the whole point, and Salina agreed and they all laughed. Salina explained, though, that in the workroom there was nowhere to hide, so trying to scheme when everyone can hear and see you is really difficult. They then moved on to this week's challenge, which was they had to give makeovers to real-life fathers. Nasia asked what was the biggest challenge for each of them when working with their partners. April laughed and said, quote, "My partner was very white," and everyone laughed. She said she actually brought two different sets of looks for the makeover, including a traditional Puerto Rican country dress, but they didn't show that in the episode. April also said her partner was a real trooper, but she said the problem with the makeover challenge is that your result depends entirely on someone else, and there's only so much you can do to create a safe space for them and hope that they knock it out the park. Salina said her partner, Eric, was very sweet and they spent a lot of time together, although it didn't all get aired, and they even had deep conversations, cried together and even laughed together. She was also really pleased with her canvas because she thought Eric looked a little bit like her out of drag, which she felt was a good sign going into the challenge. Salina also revealed that she and Silky's partner Kyle actually live down the street from each other and they have hung out together in real life and gone to parties. She also joked that since filming, Eric has, quote, become a daddy with big old muscles. April added that she was glad the partners were gay dads specifically because, quote, they have the extra, we have that extra flair. She said if she had been paired with lesbians, she wouldn't have known what to do. Salina also revealed something that had not been shown in the episode. One of the dads actually used to do drag. The audience had apparently clocked which one it was, and Salina later confirmed it was Silky's dad. They then discussed the actual makeover looks, and when it came to Vivacious's makeover, it got a mixed reaction. The hosts all said it was so good, but interestingly, April said in real life the makeup looked really bad, and the other queens all went up to Vivacious's partner after and told her they were sorry. Salina agreed and said the makeup looked really rough, and it also looked like it had been done with someone's foot, and everyone laughed. But they all said watching it back on TV, it looked a lot better. Naysha explained that this is actually a well-known thing on Drag Race. You have to paint hard because there's a filter on it, and makeup that looks overdone in person can actually look good on camera. They then got to Crystal Method's makeover, and pretty much all of them gave it a chop, saying it lacked cohesion, and Batty Davis pointed out that a white face makeup does not exactly suggest family resemblance. April disagreed and said she thought they were in the same universe, describing it as, quote, kooky and Dr. Zeus-ish. Salina added the context that a friend of hers had pointed out that the makeover challenge is also a branding challenge, and Crystal had explained that this makeover was inspired by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, but she wasn't sure what that really had to do with Crystal's brand, which is maybe why it didn't work so well as the original makeover that Crystal did on season 12. They then moved on to the dramatic part of the episode, which was when the queens gave out their MVQ points, and Salina thought that either Crystal, Aura or April would give her a point because she had made fake alliances with them all, but in the end none of them gave Salina a point, which meant that Salina did not make it through to the semis. And Silky had done some last minute alliances and got enough points to make it through to the semis with Crystal. Naysha asked Salina what kind of roller coaster she was on going into that point distribution, especially having just won the lip sync. Salina said winning that lip sync was a massive deal for her personally, and said, quote, I got my first win on Drag Race B-Words and people laughed and clapped. She explained that she was at the top of the points, had her alliances in place, and felt like it might actually all come together, but then it didn't. She acknowledged, though, that Silky played the game just as hard as she did, but Silky did it in a much shorter space of time. She made a plan and backstabbed everyone who needed to be backstabbed, and it worked. Salina said, quote, the player got played, and I can own that. I love Big Brother, I love Survivor, they play the mother effing game, and I got played, I live. She said her feelings were hurt in the moment, but once she went home and processed it, she respected Silky's gameplay. She also said she genuinely appreciated how Silky handled the aftermath, trying to make amends with people. And then she pointed out to the audience that everyone had been giving her grief for her alliance strategy, but she said, quote, you see how everyone's playing now. Naysha asked whether Salina was angrier at Aura, April or production by the end of the bracket. Salina said she was not mad at production at all because she knows what it's like to be mad at production and it doesn't work in her favour. She said she was grateful to be asked back, and then she shared something that she wasn't sure if she was allowed to say, which was that right after her bracket finished, she was offered an audition for one of the lead roles in the RuPaul movie Stop That Train. She didn't get the role, partly because she's not part of SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild, but she said that being asked at all after filming was a sign that something had landed. She said it made her feel like the whole experience had paid off, so she had nothing to be bitter about. They talked a bit more about the alliances, and Salina revealed that she and April used to sneak off to the bathroom to have conversations because it was the only place where they couldn't be seen or or heard, so they did all of it off camera. April confirmed this and said, after the first episode, she and Salina had a bathroom conversation where they both said they thought the show was pushing Crystal to the end, so Salina and April agreed they wanted to do whatever they could to stop Crystal going through. Salina explained that that conversation had then been in the back of her mind for the whole bracket, and that's part of the reason she felt pretty confident that April was going to give her point to her and make sure Crystal would not go through, but that's not what happened. April explained that it would have been a quote really great gag to kick Crystal out of the top, and she had even mentioned the idea to some people during filming, but she said that Crystal is someone she's a huge fan of and she's really unique, so in the end it just wouldn't have sat right with April to do that, and she said, quote, I'm a good person. April also revealed that she had spoken to Morgan McMichaels before going into her bracket, and Morgan had told her that in the first bracket, RuPaul was the one who broke the tie when Morgan and Akira were tied for points. April said she didn't want the decision to be taken out of her hands, so she made the decision for herself by voting for Crystal. Salina agreed and explained that she's actually come to peace with it now, and admitted that if she had gone through to the semis instead of Crystal, the fandom would have been furious because everyone loves Crystal, and Salina would have got so much backlash from it anyway, so in the end, Salina thinks April made the right decision. There was then an audience question about Crystal voting for Silky and how that felt. Salina revealed that it didn't get shown in the episode, but in the workroom earlier, the producers had asked each queen who their biggest competition was. Everyone said Crystal, but Crystal said Salina. So when Crystal gave her point to Silky, which locked Silky into the top alongside Crystal, Salina said it clicked in her mind that Crystal had seen Salina as a threat that was worth neutralizing. Salina said, quote, she could have given it to someone else, but giving it to Silky solidified her spot in the top. Salina explained that she had no bad blood about it, but it did show her that Crystal was playing just as much of a game as anyone else. There was then a VIP question which asked, who is the secret shadiest queen in bracket 2? Salina pointed at April, and April agreed and admitted she didn't think it was that big of a secret. She said the shade was always playful rather than malicious, more like a dressing room kiki energy rather than genuine beef. Salina said she thought Vivacious had actually been quietly clocking her the whole time, because watching the show back, she kept seeing Vivacious call her, quote, the Judas and the shady sister, and Salina didn't even realise Vivacious had clocked her until she watched it back. Then finally, there was an audience question about whether saying yes to All Stars was easy, and whether it was their first call. April said she had been asked a couple of times before, but they were just preliminary calls, but this time it was a real offer, and the answer was an immediate yes. It had been 13 years since her original season, and she wanted to come back and show how much she had grown. She did add, though, that she's not a fan of the bracket format, but said it was still a worthwhile opportunity. Salina said she was genuinely gagged that they called her because, by her own admission, she was, quote, real nasty after her first season on season 15 because she was, quote, running around talking about stuff that was not the best. Just to explain for those who may not know, what I think Salina is referring to is that back when season 15 was airing, Salina had called out Judge Ross Matthews at a viewing party and had also spilled a lot of stuff about production.
Ross Matthews, you can eat my ass. What the f does he know about that shit? Bitch, I should have been wearing a black bodysuit. Bitch, look what the f you're wearing, you sequin sweater jacket ass little bitch. Why is he still on the judges panel? He's not even hilarious.
But going back to Roscoe's, Salina said she had worked hard to get back in WoW's good graces, including what she described as, quote, kissing ass left and right. Salina revealed that what turned it around was performing at the Pasadena Playhouse. Apparently, RuPaul and some of the producers came to Salina's opening night, and she got a message from them afterwards saying that they could not keep their eyes off her. Then, a month later, Salina got the call for All Stars. Salina ended by saying that she's proud of what she did this season, and she made more of a splash in 3 episodes of All Stars than she did across her entire 13-episode run on season 15, and people clapped and cheered for Salina. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for All Stars 11 episode 6. Do you think Salina was robbed, or did Crystal always deserve to go through to the semis? And what did you think of Bracket 2 compared to Bracket 1? If you'd like to get things like early access, exclusive content, as well as many other benefits like priority to have your comments featured in my videos, you can check out either my Patreon, which is my main platform, or for a more convenient option if you want, you can also join my YouTube membership by clicking the join button under any of my videos. And there'll be links to both of those things in the description. I'd also like to say thank you so much to my amazing Patreon members. You are absolutely incredible. Your support truly does keep this channel going, and you have no idea how grateful I am to all of you. So honestly, thank you so much. Please make sure you like and comment on this video because it does help to boost it in the algorithm and promote it to even more people. And please make sure you do your big one and smash that subscribe button because it does make a big difference. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the future for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Thank you so much. Bye.